Hello there, everyone. Patricia Hayes here with your Coffee Time Career Chat. And this time it's the Authentic Networking Edition. So welcome. For those of you who are joining for the first time, my name is Patricia Hayes. I'm an executive advisor, empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And we are focusing on the networking aspects of our career and businesses in this edition of Coffee Chat. I'm super excited. This is one of my favorite topics, so I love doing this. Right now, we are at the end of a series. We have been talking about diversifying your network for the last couple of weeks. And what that looks like is, in part one, we talked about what a diverse network looks like and why you should care about even having one. Secondly, we talked about the work that is required of you in making sure that you have a diverse network in order to accomplish that goal. And then thirdly, now we're going to get to the nitty-gritty of the strategies that you need to actively engage in order to successfully diversify your network. I invite you to go back to check out the other versions. And if you really want to dive full in, get ready to register for the Diversify Your Network Masterclass that's coming at the end of May. So keep an eye out for that. There will be dropping a link here soon so that you can be able to get all of it all at once and building to the workshop that's coming later in the summer. So there's a lovely plan working here, and I'm super excited to be sharing all of this with you. So let's talk about those strategies that you need in order to diversify your network. So remember what we level set with. Diversity, when it comes to your network, means making sure that you don't have homogenous network. What does that mean? It means that everybody doesn't look the same. Okay? That everybody doesn't have the same types of jobs. They're not all the same economically. Like diversity of people, of genders, of abilities, of class, right? Economically, there's religions, political beliefs, all of that. Now, this is not to say you just go deliberately try to, quote, align yourself with someone that doesn't click, right? That's not what I'm talking about. Because remember, I'm always focusing on networking authentically, right? So making sure that it's with an alignment, but that doesn't mean that everyone has to look and sound just like you, okay? And here's the reason why you should care. Because ultimately, if your goal is to achieve a new level of career success, of business success, the higher you go, the more diverse your network needs to be, because at some point you're going to need to tap into that. Now, I know that sounds crazy because, as we look around us, we're like, that's not really how the bigwigs, work. Well, honestly, we only see one piece of that, right? I mean, that's first things first. And as you up level in your career and in your business, your needs shift. So the things that we can't see are when those, billionaire, multimillionaire business owners, like who are they connecting with in order to get to that next level? We don't see that behind the scenes. But I can assure you that a lot of the times you don't get there by reconnecting with just the same people. At some point in time, you have to do something different in order to get to the new level. Okay? Remember that. If you really want to get to the next level of your business and your career, you have to do something different. You can't just keep dipping into the same pool. You can't just keep doing the same thing. Okay? And you know this to be true because even though you may not see from our viewpoint what some of the big companies and their leadership is doing up close behind the scenes, you can see it from the work that they put out. You can see it from how they're shifting their messaging on who they're trying to attract, right? And, because they've been getting a lot of heat about who are you really engaging and what does it look like from the other side? Who's helping you to make these shifts? Okay, so whether it's your workforce, all of that comes into play. And one of the things that's super challenging and very offensive to a lot of us out here in the professional world is when someone says, oh, excuse me, I can't find enough, quote, qualified applicants who look differently. Right? That's super offensive. Okay. Here's the problem. When your network is not diverse and you're only tapping into the same people in order to get a different result, hello, no wonder it doesn't work. You're not going to find Black female bankers by continuing to talk to older white male bankers. It just doesn't work that way. So that's the realities of our world, is that when you need to tap into and to build out your workforce, your projects, your business, and you need to do something different, you have to reach out and connect to different people. It really is basic common sense, but sometimes people have a hard time coming to grips with that. That's a whole other conversation. Okay, so that's why you should care. I had to go back and level set that to make sure that we're on the same page. So then when we're talking about the work, we talked about the work that's required. That's all the things that you have to do. Shifting your mindset, putting yourself in different places. We'll talk a little bit more specifically about some of those things because the work that's required overlaps with the strategies that we're about to talk about. Okay, so you want to make sure, but the mindset shift is huge because it means putting yourself in some uncomfortable situations, reaching out in a way that you may not have been used to or comfortable with. But guess what? That's called work and that's called growth. So you have to do those things. All right. So now we're on to the strategies. We're talking about what are the specific things that you can do as you look to diversify your network so that you can grow both professionally and personally in your career and in your business. Okay. Number one, again, seems very obvious, but very much overlooked. And that is you intentionally must put yourself in different situations. Seems easy enough, right? No. Here's the reason why. Because we don't like to get outside our comfort zone. Most of us, I don't care what your ethnic background is, I don't care what your race, class, all of those things, I don't care what they are. Most people naturally gravitate to other people that look and sound like them, that, they feel comfortable with. And that's not in and of itself a bad thing, right? But when you're talking about getting to the next level of up-leveling where you are professionally, for your business, for whatever goals that you have, you can't keep doing that. I can't keep saying, for example, that I want to travel internationally, but I'm only talking to people who've never been on a plane in their life. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that. I'm not going to achieve that goal because I haven't diversified who I'm talking to get another level of experience about what that looks like. Okay. Now, here's the reality of it. I do have people in my network who have traveled internationally, right? Including my own daughter. Yeah, she got out before I did, y'all. Still not happy about that. But those are the things helping her to achieve that goal. I've seen what's possible. I've seen some of the things that need to happen. I have another friend who is, happily traveling the seas half the year, right? I mean, like, that's just fascinating to me to be like, what are you guys doing? I mean, they're literally sailing throughout the Caribbean for half the year. Okay. I have other folks, and that's now. So even as we open back up, as things become more easily to travel internationally again, guess what? That's still a hope and dream of mine. And I have some things on the books in order to make that happen. But what that means is I have to talk to other people who have done it already. Not just ones who say that they want to, because that's different as well, right? Not just ones who've said that they want to, because that's important, but also those who have actually done it. What can I learn from them? What are some tips and tricks that I need to know pre-pandemic that now may or may not apply post-pandemic? And how is that going to shift? Okay. Now I just use travel as an example because it's super easy, but this applies to anything in your career and in your business. If you want to own a multi-million-dollar business, you're not going to get there with only a class of people who are historically government workers who are focused very much on stability and retirement. Okay? No knock to those folks, but that mindset is completely different from someone who wants to achieve a multi-million-dollar business status. Okay, so that means you have to put yourself in situations where you can talk and be exposed to other multi-million-dollar people. What does that look like? It means going and joining an organization that you might not have considered, joining before. Okay, it means getting uncomfortable and getting outside of your comfort zone. So it doesn't matter what it is you need for diversity as far as your network, it means getting out of your comfort zone. All right. If you know that you need to be able to recruit a more diverse workforce into your company, then you need to go to places where there are diverse people who can give you access to the people that you need to pull into your company. It really is that simple. It takes effort, however. That gets back to part 2 that you need to go back and check out what you need to do before you can even start implementing these strategies. Okay? All right, so that's the first thing. Number two is you have to expose yourself to new people who don't look and sound like yourself. This is like, you say, well, isn't that the same thing as number 1? No, it's not. Number 1, we talk about putting yourself in different situations. Situationally, where are you going? Who are you hanging out with? Right? What are you doing? What kind of conferences are you attending? What kind of meetings, what kind of happy hours are you attending? All of those types of things. Situational, right? Put yourself in different situations. Number 2, we're talking about exposing yourself to new people who don't look and sound like yourself, right? That can be from a professional standpoint or from a personal. And because it's really telling when you can go look at people's pictures and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, yeah, that's not looking very diverse, even just in that. So how is that translating from personal to professional? Let's get real here. Okay? It requires, again, effort and work on your part. So what are you doing to expose yourself to new people who don't look and sound like you? I'm a lawyer. If I decide that I need and would like to gain access to more doctors and engineers, guess what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to go find doctors and engineers who I normally don't interact. I mean, maybe my own personal doctor and a couple of friends who are engineers, but that's not the world in which I live and work on a regular basis. So I'm going to have to take steps in order to go connect with those people, right? With those industries, with folks with that background. Okay. One of the things that's a perfect example from recently is, and I love this example when I thought about it, is a couple of weeks back, I served as a part of a health equity training. It was super powerful work, and I'm super excited. I need to be able to talk about it some more. I haven't really yet. But in going into it, it would seem like all of the folks who were who took part in that training, like we were on the same page, right? because it really wasn't a lot of people who didn't believe in the equity issues when it comes to health in our country. So it's like, okay, that's quote, everybody kind of looks the same. Well, while everyone in that group had similar beliefs about it, what was fascinating is that there were people who, it was very diverse group from all kinds of backgrounds. So Black, white, Hispanic, European background. I mean, just diverse ethnic backgrounds, diverse professional backgrounds, right? So from folks in the medical field to folks who were lawyers like myself, to folks who are grassroots advocates, like very diverse in that way. And then when it came to gender and identity, all of those things, it was a very diverse group. And that was fascinating because it was an opportunity for me to engage with people who, yes, we have a common denominator in how we approach or what we believe when it comes to health equity, but our backgrounds look nothing alike. Maybe one or two people that our backgrounds were similar, but no. And so these are the things that you can learn when you put yourself in different situations, when you expose yourself to new people who do not look or sound like you. And I know that now when it comes to health equity, I've got some additional people to tap into from a different perspective that I never would have considered. Okay? So that's the whole point. So you want to make sure, like, and these are things that you need to write down, right? So you can't just do this off the top of your head. I'm very much about journaling, about keeping a journal for whatever purpose that you need to. And then when it comes to this networking thing, I'm super, super focused on that. And I have a lovely project that's in the works. I can't wait to be able to share a networking journal with you. So excited about that. But right now, just grabs any, a notebook, a big, small journal, but I want you to write down those places situationally. What type of organizations do you need to join? What types of other people do you need to know? Doing that analysis that we talked about earlier about what does your network look like for real right now? Okay, and where are the gaps? Where are the challenging areas? Just be honest with yourself. Okay, this is for you. This is for your own personal and professional growth, okay? And then where can you go? What can you do to expose yourself to people who don't look or sound like you? It can be as simple as shifting where you shop. Because if you normally only shop in this one neighborhood from this type of folks, what if you go across the city? What if you go online and shop at some different place? What are you going to learn? Who are the people you're going to be exposed to just because you shifted in that one way? None of these things are magnificent in and of itself, but again, it's the effort that must be taken. It's the intentionality that must be engaged in order to move forward. And remember, we're not talking about doing this for the purposes of using and abusing people. That's not how we roll, okay? This is about growth professionally for your business. And that if you really want to get to the next level, how are you going to present? When you get to that next level of business and people are saying, yeah, we really want or need people who have some more exposure in X, Y, and Z. Or that next position where it's like, it would be really great if, you could have this type of background. And you can be like, you know what? This is what I've been doing on the regular. Okay? That's number 2. Number 3, this is crucial, because it's a huge deficit area, okay? And this is number 3, share opportunities and resources with a new person from your diversity efforts. Let me read that again. share opportunities and resources. We all do that, yes. With a new person, we definitely, do that. But that third part, from your diversity efforts. It does you no good if you have all of these resources, these opportunities, these people, you share it with the same type of people over and over again. That does not diversify your network. Does it expand your network? Yes. So expanding your network is different. It is a piece of expanding and diversifying your network. When you add the diversity piece, again, what does that mean? It's intentionality. So when someone calls you and says, hey, I'm looking for a new photographer. Do you have anybody, that I could use? You're like, let me check. Well, before you just go down the list and send them the same person you've been sending them for the last 10 years, what if you say, you know what? I just attended this other event and there was this great female photographer, from some ethnic background. It doesn't matter, but there's someone you met. What if you started sharing that person with another? Do you see what you just did? You've got someone new in your network, but now you're expanding not just your network, but theirs and the person you're connecting them with. This is where the gold is, people. If you want to show and have value, then be that person that can be a conduit to connect people. And not just to connect people that look the same, but to connect people that are diverse in their experiences, in their outlooks, in their political beliefs, in their backgrounds, all kinds of things. All right? That is where the gold is. Having that ability, having that power to be able to share, because it really is a power move. Okay, so that you can expand your network and the people around you, their network as well. And when you do that, the whole thing just lifts and just gets stronger. That network gets stronger. Okay, so we're not just talking about doing stuff just for the heck of it, right? Just for the fun of it. We're talking about doing it authentically and aligned. Ooh, let's use that again, okay? Authentically and aligned. And that means you have got to put some effort into it. You can't be lazy about it. We're not talking about lazy networking. Sorry. You want to achieve big things and get to next levels, guess what? It involves work. It's not a bad thing, but it does require effort on your part, okay? Intentionality, all right? And focus, being deliberate, right? Let's talk about that. Man, that's a whole other thing about being intentional, about being deliberate, and being focused in what you do. And I know that for me, it happens a lot. So for example, I get asked all the time for, lawyer referrals. And sometimes I have a few people that I off the top of my head, but even normally, if I get that, I normally still say, hey, let me think about that for a second and get back to you. Hopefully I get back because I try not to be a flake. It happens. Life's been a little rough, right? But being deliberate, because sometimes I like to make sure instead of offering up just one name, I'll say, hey, here are 3 people. You go make the decision. But that's another thing you can do. Do you see what I just did? So you can still offer the person that you might normally just say, oh, hey, what about this? But if you give people a range, help to diversify other people's outlooks about who's out there, who's available. Because if you shared those 3 names, then they might say, hey, these are the 3 names that I got from Patricia one time. Okay? It's this kind of, it's something, and it's a process that can feed itself. But you have to take the effort to be deliberate, to be focused, to be intentional in what it is that you're doing. Okay. Another ways, an example that I love is that, and it just came to me is because one of the things I'm doing is I have a couple of people, that I'm coaching right now that I normally don't coach, right? And that's young male grads. So most of my clients are women, much more experienced, have careers behind them, or, they're further along in their careers. But I normally do not work directly with young people straight out of college, right? But I've had that opportunity, one for someone that, a close friend, and I'm able to offer some services to their new graduate. But then I've got another person where I'm part of a program, and they're like, we have some folks, but we have someone who needs a mentor, but it's not necessarily someone you've mentored before. Are you open to mentoring someone who is, a young male? And I'm like, sure, why not? Okay. Because why would I do that? Not because I'm about to open the floodgates on shifting my model, but because I know that there's something I can learn that I've already been learning and shifting my thought processes in addressing the needs of young people. And that for whatever reason, that will build and that can be beneficial in the long term as well. Okay. So that's another thing. It's like, instead of just dealing straight on with everybody who's the same age or, who's in a mid-career or something like that, it's like, let's bring a little youth into this mix and see where that leads and how that handles. All right. Expanding and diversifying. Okay. So remember, diversity has a lot of meaning. It has the meanings that lots of people just quote assume, but I want you to think more broadly, and I want you to think more deliberately and intentionally. Okay. And that is what I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining in this edition of Coffee Time Career Chat Authentic Networking. And look forward to joining up with you again here soon. There is a 30-day consistency challenge that is coming up. We're starting May 2nd. And if you want to join in, feel free. I have a brand new journal that has it's literally being finalized as we speak. I'm super excited about it. And here is a special note that I'm sharing only on this edition, which is I have an extra little addendum that's focused on networking. So if you want to engage networking in your 30-day consistency challenge, I have a little special bonus for you, but you will have to register in order to get it. Okay. So you have to register to get the journal, and then you can make the selection to get the networking edition laid on top of that as well. So super excited to be sharing it with you, to be putting that out there. And I look forward to hearing from you and following up with you in the coming days and week. All right. Take care, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye-bye.